So I think we're ready to go. And Ms. Salinas, you will be holding down the fort until Ms. Aquino gets here?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, we will go ahead and call to order the June 18th regular meeting of the Board of Education at Newark Unified. And wanted to just reiterate that we are still having some problems with our ability to stream live through YouTube, but these Zoom meetings are being recorded and they will be uploaded into our YouTube channel at the end of the evening. Let's see, I think that's the only announcement I wanted to make. With that, Ms. Salinas, roll call, please.
Yes, President Martinez.
Here.
Member Gutierrez.
Here.
Member Nguyen.
Oh, he's there.
I saw her. There she is. Member Nguyen. I see you. Noted. Member Jean.
Here.
Can't hear you.
And Member Rodriguez.
Here.
Okay, all present.
Thank you. Member Nguyen, did you want to do a sound check there?
Oh yeah, we can't hear you.
I still can't hear. I could hear you earlier.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I could hear. Yeah. It's faint, but we could hear you. Okay. And with that, then we will move to the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as is, unless there's any request to make a change.
I'd like to make a request.
Okay.
Let me 1 second so I can get to the item. Apologize for that.
Mhm.
I'd like to request that item 12.5 get pulled and brought back for a later meeting with additional discussion.
Okay. And what is the reason that you'd like to ask staff for this?
I wanted to get confirmation in regards to the salary numbers to make sure that we have enough documentation to show that the the numbers are accurate.
Ms. Salinas, would you like to respond?
Yes, so that is the pleasure of the board. You would make a motion with this adjustment, and then you would take it to a vote. And then if it stands with pulling of the item, you can. And if not, you would take another vote to approve the agenda. Okay.
I do have a concern regarding timing. I know that the changes to the salary schedule need to be completed by July 1st. My question to staff is, if this was to be pulled, can we vote on this item in a special meeting, or does it have to be a regular meeting?
So it can certainly be it could be in a regular meeting or in a special meeting, either way. I will defer to Ms. Saavedra or Ms. De La Cruz to talk about the July 1st deadline.
Marie, do you want to answer this? Because my comment is the July 1st deadline is actually the new school year. Technically begins July 1st, so we'll be moving into a new calendar year, and that is the reason why we need, if we're going to move forward with this, it needs to be adopted before July 1st.
Yes, and I understand that. I think my question is a salary schedule. Can it, because I'm, as we're going to make a motion and vote on this, I think we want to make sure that we as a board understand that can we bring this item into a special meeting? If
we can bring it into a special meeting, yes.
Okay. Well, with that, then you would have to make a motion, and there would have to be a second to amend the agenda. So, Ms. Gutierrez, if you'd like to make a motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the agenda with the removal of item 12.5 for it to be brought back during a special meeting in June.
Okay, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
This discussion, I just want Member Gutierrez to repeat the reasoning for pulling this item.
Yes, I said, I said that I would like this item to be brought back so that additional documentation can be brought forth showing that the salary numbers are accurate and should be as is instead of different numbers. So basically, so we can have discussion showing additional documentation that the numbers are accurate.
So so currently the number is not accurate, or?
So, yeah, so I think we just have to make that, so either we're gonna vote it up or down. I think that it's just, we can't get into the topic itself. So, so we do have a motion by Member Gutierrez, seconded by Member. Okay, that was, okay, so we are coming back from a short recess, given the power outage that some of our folks were affected by. I did hear back from our IT or Ms. Aquino that the last part of the conversation with that last motion was lost. So we have to come back and actually make sure we get the motion captured. So I will go back and ask Member Gutierrez to please repeat her motion regarding the item 2, which is the approval of the agenda.
Yes, thank you, President Martinez. I was asking that we approve the agenda with the removal of item 12.5 for to be brought back at a later meeting in later special meeting in June for the purpose of additional information to be brought forth to confirm the accuracy of the numbers.
And that motion was made by Member Gutierrez and it was seconded by Member Rodriguez, correct? Okay.
Correct.
So with that, we will take a vote on the motion to approve the agenda as is, less item 12.5 to be brought back in a special meeting prior to July 1st. Okay. So with that, we had voted Member Gutierrez.
Yes.
Member Rodriguez.
Can we have a little conversation on this before we ask for the vote? Why does it have to come back with a special meeting? I'm a little bit lost.
Because we don't have any regular meetings scheduled before July 1st.
Okay, and we can't answer the questions now. I mean, staff's here. Why couldn't we?
What we don't want, we can't get into the conversation right now. It's just about the approval agenda. We either vote the amendment to the agenda, or we vote it up or down, and we continue. It is a topic for a latter part of the meeting. Okay. Sorry, you're muted, Mr. Member Rodriguez.
My vote is yes.
Yes, to bring it back at a later time. Okay. Member Zhang?
Yes.
Okay. And Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Okay. My vote is yes as well. So we will pull this item and we will bring it back. Obviously, we will coordinate Superintendent Salinas on a date for next week, ideally.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries to approve the agenda as is, less item 12.5.
Yes.
Thank you. And with that, we move to item 2.2, public comment on the study session. Do we have any comments on the study session?
No, President Martinez, no comments on study session.
Thank you very much. And with that, we do move to the study session with it, which is, oh, sorry.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
point of order, and I apologize if I'm incorrect on this. Did we miss the flag?
No, we'll do it when we reconvene to open.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries. So again, we move to item 3.1 or 3.1 study session on bond and parcel tax for November 2020 ballot discussion. I will hand that over to you, Superintendent Salinas.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, President Martinez, members of the board. As you know, on May 21st, we were able to see the results of Godby research regarding the board's direction to take a poll survey of our community in regards to the possibility of a bond or a parcel tax in the city of Newark. At that time, we had information that was shared. In addition, Mr. Godby was able to meet one-on-one with board members to really unpack and hear more about the actual poll results. So members of the board were also given that opportunity to take part in that. When Ms. De La Cruz and I met with the subcommittee, with yourself and Ms. Gutierrez, at that time we felt that the subcommittee felt that we can bring this back to a study session to really take an opportunity for each board member to share what direction they wanted to move in. As you know, we are under a timeline to make a decision to make this in time for the November ballot. And so the purpose of tonight is to really hear from individual board members and to really have a discussion around what they're feeling and what direction they want to give staff. Thank you.
Okay. I guess I'll open up to the rest of the board. Member Gutierrez and I are part of the subcommittee, so we've had an opportunity to just ask some questions around timing, obviously the results, and how we're thinking about are we ready to go for a bond? Do we have clarity of objective? And so again, wanted to make sure we had everyone on the board weigh in as we look to give direction to staff. So I'd like to open it up for questions or comments. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, if you had something to say, but go ahead.
Well, if no one else, I was going to share my thoughts, at least what I shared with the team. Again, doesn't make it right, but I'm just, trying to be transparent and share what is going on in my mind. I fully understand that that bond elections have to happen I believe in a regularly scheduled election. So if we don't put this on the ballot, but in November, we would have to wait until March of 22. That would be the soonest we'd be able to get it back on a ballot. So we saw the results, and they seemed, I think, in some cases, some of us were just be given the time that we're living in was surprisingly positive. So that's something that that our folks in our city really clearly prioritize, which is making sure we've got the right materials, facilities for our students. So that is something that's a solid message that they've sent. As I think about where we started in the conversation about bonds, I think that we know we have a lot of work ahead of us to fix the structural deficits, including our footprint, right? Including how we are, configured as a school district. So I know that we are in the process of figuring that out. And I think, though I wish we had a more succinct message on the bond, I think that we can show that we are in a very good, solid path to shore up our finances and how we think about the structure. So I'm very much in support of looking at the opportunity to pursue the bond. I think though we have quite a bit of work here in the next month or two to really articulate that message in a way that's credible to our citizens. That's my logical brain thinking. My more of the here's what I really wish we could do is I'd love to be able to get both. Which is the parcel. Our numbers weren't as favorable. I'm not quite sure why in Newark, we haven't had that success. But I was also thinking in the condition that we're in, given COVID, given how many of us as parents and other citizens have realized just the invaluable service that our teaching and support groups provide to us and to our children. The thought of, hey, how do we really message a parcel, that really will help in the context of providing funds in our general fund to support more programs and to be able to get, a full-time science teacher, an additional 1 or 2 counselors. So I think there's some really good messaging on the parcel side. So basically I just wanted to share how I'm thinking about it and really wanted to hear back from the rest of the board where you all are.
I'll chime in for now, and I can say that I'm in pretty much agreement with everything that you said, President Martinez. When the idea was first brought forth regarding the possibility of putting a priority on the parcel tax first because of our necessities, because of the situation, because it would assist with the needs that we immediately have. It seemed great. It seemed like it's perfect. Yes, let's do it. It's a great idea. However, given the timeline that we are facing, I think it definitely just becomes a little bit more critical as to what move we do and where we want to go. I think based on Newark's financial situation, it makes it very difficult to see our community being viable as the years go by without some right sizing of our district. And to think that maybe we cannot put a bond on the ballot for 2 more years, and to think that maybe our situation and or that our students might even be sacrificing some other resources due to the lack of funds or due to just our economic situation, period, it makes it very hard. So I'm almost really leaning a little bit more towards putting the bond on the measure, being that we did, based on the survey, we did get a positive results. We did get pretty positive results from their community. And however, I am concerned regarding the plan that we will be setting forth. So because it is a shorter time frame, I think I would, as of now, I'm still leaning towards putting the bond on the measure. I don't think that it would be wise of us to put I apologize, to put bond and parcel tax on the same measure. I think it would be great. I think I would love to urge our community to help us with that and say we need them both. But I have to be reasonable, and I don't think that would I don't think that would likely pass.
Yeah, gotcha.
Exactly. So I would be more in favor of putting the bond on this November ballot, but with the urgency that our team create the plan that is needed to move forward to fulfill the need of that bond.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I just want to note that I think Member Zhang and Member Nguyen.
Yep, I've seen that they've fallen off. Ms. Aquino and Ms. Salinas, can you?
Yes, Mr. Mellons is working on it right now, trying to move
Oh, there you
them
go.
over.
Okay. Member Wynn's coming back on. I'll ask you, Member Rodriguez, do you have any questions or comments you'd like to?
Yeah, I do a little bit. By the way, there's a 3-hour time difference, so I'm in Southwest Puerto Rico. We spent all day looking at areas that were damaged by the earthquakes and what people have to go through, and then also the virus. You can't enter any place without having somebody take your temperature, making sure you have a mask on. So it kind of brought me back to reality that in spite of the virus and everything, people here are facing many, many more challenges and are still taking care of it. And they're very, this community is very supportive of education, and like ours is, I think. But it's a lot easier to talk about a bond because the tangibles are there, fixing air conditioning and make sure all the schools, have air conditioning, and different other things that people can see and say, oh, I want that school's going to be more beautiful when I pass this bond. And then the percentage naturally is better. A parcel tax is a little more difficult because of the intangibles. We're looking at closing down 2 elementary schools. Some people might say that you would sell, if we can get a parcel tax passed, maybe we can go from 2 to just 1. And a parcel tax, you really need the support of your 2 unions in order to pass it. And there's got to be items on there that are very, very sensitive to them and that they really want. And once you get that, then even though the survey might show less for a parcel tax, you get the 2 unions together, that percentage can change. But it's hard to do a 2/3 threshold. That's very difficult. And if we don't take this opportunity, naturally, the next opportunity might not be until 2 years from now, to do the parcel tax. So, but I'm in favor of doing the bond. I think it's something that we can get done. If we just stay with that, and there's a good possibility that we can get that passed. Okay, so I'm in favor of the of just going with the bond. I mean the bond,
Bond.
instead of parcel tax, right?
Gotcha. Member Nguyen, I know Member Zhang is still trying to reconnect. Has anyone heard from him? If he's having any luck there?
No, I'm messaging him, but I'm not hearing back from him.
Okay. Member Nguyen, any comments or questions?
No, I mean, I have the same concerns as both President Martinez and Member Gutierrez, and also Member Rodriguez, in terms of, all of this, the timeline that we have, and the possibility of it not happening. But since we already did the survey for the bond, I feel strongly that we should move forward and at least try to get the bond measure on there, so that we don't, lose traction over it. And we still have to try and figure out the school consolidation. But in the meantime, we do still have facilities that we need to, sort of bring back to life and enhance and make it suitable for learning in the classroom.
Good.
Martinez,
Yes.
I don't know if this is the forum for it, because I hear, it seems like we're all more in favor of the bond. And one of the comments that I made is, I think it's very important to move forward to have a very concise plan. And before I continue, I think Member Zhang might be on if you want to take his input.
Yeah, so
Oh,
actually,
Thank you.
my reason is actually very simple. I don't support raising taxes on anyone during an economic depression. So I will not be supporting anything on November ballot.
Thank you, Member Zhang. Member Gutierrez?
So where I was going at is in regard the comment that I made in regards to having a very concise plan as to what we're going to do. I think it's important to know that we do have the facilities plan for EDIS, which has a lot of renovation fixing that we need to do, which we know is there. However, at one point we also did have another plan that was brought to light in regards to rebuilding of schools. And I don't, like I said, I don't know if this is the forum for it or if it's something for later discussion, but I think it's a topic that really needs to get looked into. I think it's just important that, again, looking at the numbers, ADIS numbers to bring everything up, bring our current facilities up to par takes a lot of money. So looking at the other plan, which was possibly building new schools, consolidating some and building new schools, so far seemed like a more economical plan, and I think something that our community deserves as well. I know, like I've said, when I went to schools here, since kindergarten, they have not changed. They still look the same. It looks nice. It's memorable to come by and be like, oh, that's my school. But I do think that it's probably difficult for our current students who are and teachers who are in those facilities to say that I was in those schools. They were probably already 30 years old, and add a couple more years.
Yep. Perfect. I hear you, and I think that's my question to I will say to Ms. Salinas and probably Ms. De La Cruz in terms of potential next steps, because I think that, thank you for mentioning that, Member Gutierrez. I think that there, can you all mute, please? Sorry. Thank you. I think there's the repair or the rebuild path, right? And because I think it's you know, depends who you speak to. I mean, there's definitely two schools of thought. I mean, I think you're referencing the two pictures we saw. We saw the ADIS repair, right? The structure as is, and we saw the previous interim CBO present a different model, which is, you know, consolidate and rebuild. I think both are, well, I have a preference, but I think that, you know, in the spirit of making sure we have that complete picture and are making the best decision for our district, I think it'd be great to be able to see both plans, both, because they're very different approaches, right? So is that then the direction, Ms. Salinas, that we'd ask, or the ask that we'd have of you?
I have a question if it's proper right now.
Sure, just watching the clock, Member Rodriguez, go ahead.
No, I know this time that's elapsed, but I know I asked before and you probably already answered it, but extending the current GEO bond would be something that we cannot do. It just seems like it's always easier to extend a bond than it is to, you know, vote on a brand new one. So that's my question to Ms. De La Cruz.
I think, oh, okay.
Oh,
trying to, I'm sorry, here I am. Yeah, I think we explored that option, and the consultants advised us to go for a new bond, is my understanding. So the new bond would be for, right now it's valued about 175 million.
And what would be the cost per parcel?
I think the assessed value is about $100 per assessed value.
Okay, works. 100 seems to be in the magical number. If you want to get a bond passed, you've got to stay, you know, under 100. So
okay,
I'm good.
Okay,
perfect.
So what I would recommend at this point is, I think, you know, staff is hearing some direction and some consensus perhaps, but really this is why the next step is that you all have to take an actual vote where we agendize the topic and you also look at it. So my recommendation would be that we add this to the July 14th agenda, because, you know, we also now have the timeline of August 7th that's out there, and then we'll bring that forward for you all to consider consider, take a vote. And at that point, I think it's also the conversation around maybe the subcommittee talking with Ms. Dela Cruz and myself, or just with, looking for us to meet, because certainly we have to look at the language and what the language would be, and it can be very different. If it's, I'm hearing repairs of HVAC, but I'm also hearing rebuilding schools, so it's very different. So, and then we also have to see what Mr. Godby proposed. And so we did try some language that could possibly be on the ballot, so that we could maybe have the subcommittee meet and then agendize this for the July 14th meeting so the whole board could weigh in on the language and actually take a formal vote. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. I think that makes sense, so given that we are on a tight timeline. Okay, so let's, that will be the plan. We'll go ahead and agendize it for the July 14th meeting. Okay, very good. And with that, we will go ahead and wrap up our study session. And before we go to recess to closed, I would like to ask if there's any public comment on closed session items, item 3.2.
Yes, President Martinez, there is one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, please read. Mhm.
Bear with me here. Okay. Formally requesting that incoming Superintendent Mark Triplett look into the actions of the HR Director, Mr. Triplett. I have known Paul Bretz for 25 years, and in those years, he has always stood for honor and integrity. His removal as principal and the subsequent campaign to silence his concerns over said removal has been shrouded in secrecy. It is now time for you to take a look into this with fresh eyes. I would like to ask the school board to look into the actions of HR Director Jessica Saavedra. Thank you for your consideration on this subject. It is time to bring Bretz back.
Is that the only comment? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, and with that, we will be recessing to closed session, where we will be discussing public employee discipline dismissal release, item 4.2, conference with labor negotiator employee organizations and TNCSCA. 4.3, conference with labor negotiator NUMA unrepresented supervisors and contracted management. 4.4, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation. 4.5, public employment, Kennedy Elementary principal, and 4.6, conference with labor negotiator, unrepresented employee, superintendent. Sorry, 4.7, public employment, title superintendent. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. And with that, we recess the closed session. Thank you.